Thomas's life in the yard was not the same after his incident leaving the coaches behind. The other engines loved to tease him about it, especially Henry, whose train it was he had left behind. "Don't go running off now, little Thomas," he would tease every morning as he went by. "Your place is here in the yards." Thomas tried not to let Henry's comments get to him, but he couldn't help but feel trapped by his duties. His one chance at exploring the world outside the yard had been amazing. Once he'd remembered to go back and rescue the coaches. The others get to see the whole railway every day, Thomas sighed wistfully to Edward. Who knows when I'll ever be trusted to pull another train by the fat director again? Don't get ideas above your station, little Thomas, scoffed Henry from a corner of the sheds. You're a shunter, not an express engine. You'll only run into trouble with that silly daydream of yours. Go stick in a tunnel, Henry, and leave him alone, said Edward firmly. You'll only be late for your evening train if you dawdle about here picking on engines smaller than you. Henry scoffed and puffed huffily away. The tunnel incident was one he would have liked to forget. You mustn't let Henry tease you like that, Thomas, said Edward. Maybe you will get to pull a train again, someday. Thomas still looked glum. I know I will. But when? You tender engines get all the important jobs. No one notices us tank engines. Thomas, you think we don't notice? Believe it or not, your job is more important than you think. You may be little, but your job is important, one that needs doing. Where would the railway be without the shunter to keep the trains running? Old Henry couldn't do it, that's for sure. Tender engines don't shunt after all. Thomas felt better. Henry still kept up his teasing, but Thomas walked the high ground. He couldn't do his jobs without me. He's too big and fat. But still, I mustn't test the fat director's patience. I shall have to wait for an opportunity. Fortunately, one came, sooner than expected. He had just finished arranging Henry's coaches and was arranging a special when Henry arrived. Shouldn't you be at the back? He asked suspiciously, eyeing the long train behind him. Sorry, Henry, not today, Thomas said cheekily. I've got to arrange this special train, and besides, I thought a strong engine like you should have no problem. Oh! Henry was about to protest when a little boy on the platform pointed at the big blue engine, confused. Daddy, he asked, why does Gordon look different today? He's gotten a lot smaller. Thomas saw this as a chance to get even. See, Henry? He chuckled. Even that little boy thinks you're a strong engine like Gordon. And I'd hate to disappoint a passenger, wouldn't you, Henry? The guard blew his whistle, and Henry, snorting and struggling fiercely, left the station in a cloud of steam. Thomas chuckled as he watched Henry disappear. Then he went back to work. Henry's driver grew concerned as they sped along the countryside. "Steady, old boy," he called as they sped through the tunnel. "No need to go so fast." But Henry was in no mood to listen. He kept brooding over what Thomas had said. "Silly tank engine. I am big and I am strong, and I'm better than that blowhard Gordon anyway. I'll show them." But pulling a heavy train fast takes a lot of work and uses a lot of coal and water. Despite the firemen's best efforts, Henry's steam pressure dwindled. They were soon out of water and forced to stop, miles away from the next station. "I'm sorry, old boy," said his driver, "but we must drop your fire. It'd be dangerous to continue on like this. We'll have to call for another engine to take your train on." Henry moaned in defeat. "Oh, what a despicable end for an engine like me. Just despicable." Thomas had just stopped for a drink when a red-faced porter came up to them. "Hello?" said the driver. "What's up?" "Henry has run out of water. We need you to shift his train to the next station. Edward will take the train on. But we can't keep the main line blocked, or else Fat Hat's timetables will be in tatters." "Do you think you can do it?" "We'll give it a good try, won't we, Thomas?" Thomas grinned. Finally, a chance to prove himself. Thomas laughed when he arrived at the scene and saw Henry. "What's wrong, Henry? Trying to catch a bit of scenery, eh? Well, I reckon it's a lot better than that tunnel, isn't it?" "Be quiet, you," seethed Henry. "I'm lucky I dropped my fire when I did. Otherwise it could be dangerous for my passengers." "Well, from what I heard, it sounds like it's your own fault for trying to break the land speed record. Now who's got ideas above his station?" Henry did not reply. Thomas coupled up to the stricken engine. Thomas arrived at the next station, pulling an embarrassed Henry and several relieved passengers. Edward was waiting there to take the train on. The passengers all got out and thanked Thomas. Thomas, who wasn't used to such praise, could only sheepishly reply, "Oh, it was nothing. All in a day's work." "If you'd like, Thomas," said Edward, "I can take Henry home, and you can take the train on. It is a very important job, and the passengers mustn't miss their connections." Thomas looked at the older engine for a while, and then he said, "No, thank you, Edward. It's nice of you to offer, but I must get back to the yard. Where would the yard be without its shunter? Edward laughed. I'm proud of you, Thomas. Where would the yard be without its shunter? Yes, passenger trains do have their glamour, but it's the shunter who keeps everything in place. I'm proud of you. You have got the makings of a really useful engine. I'll even see about one day doing a duty swap with you. A really useful engine. Well, come on, you. Let's get you home.